Rasmus last night. He lifted Rasmus in the 7th inning in favor of the pinch hitter Rajai Davis. Just checking in with Kobe. He didn't have any ill feelings about it. In fact, Gibbons had warned him in spring training and reminded him last night before he made the move that it was going to occasionally happen with a lefty on the mound. An extended conversation, and no idea what the root of this is, but we certainly had a long conversation, and they both have a smile on their face when they're done, so all is well. Take a look at the lineup for the Chicago White Sox. They had a 9th inning win in last night's game. They won 4-3 on just 5 hits. Alan Ventura in his 2nd year of managing the White Sox. Let's take a look at the lineup. Top of the order, Alejandro De Aza. He is 4 for 9 against lefty pitching, and that's what he'll face tonight. And Jay Happ. And then down in the order, all the way down in number 9 spot, Tyler Green is back at second base against Jay Happ. He's 5 for 11 with a couple of home runs, and that's who he's facing tonight, Jay Happ.
Jay Happ is coming into his 3rd start here tonight. You see that he's 2-0, and Jay has really pitched quite well. He's only had 10+ innings, basically pitching 5+ innings to start, but he battled a little early in the 1st inning last time out and came at him and ended up getting the win.
First pitch of the ball game is over the outside corner for a strike, and we are underway. Alejandro De Aza. De Aza is the center fielder. It's this ball into center. Rasmus got a good break. It's carrying. Boy, he plays that ball well.
Boy, that was a great route to that baseball in the first out of this game. Let's take a look at the defense of the Blue Jays. Again, no Jose Bautista in right field. That'll be filled by Rajai Davis. Around the infield, we already saw the impact of Brett Laurie in last night's game. He made a couple of very nice plays. Kawasaki, Isturus, and Encarnacion finished it off. And J.P. Arencibia, I thought, did a really good job in last night's game, blocking a lot of sliders in the dirt from Josh Johnson. Called a good game, blocked a lot of good pitches, and hit a home run.
Jeff Keppinger back at 3rd base tonight against the lefty Happ. Keppinger has been a problem for the Blue Jays. In his last 11 games against the Jays, he's hit .425, 17 for 40. They just haven't been able to figure him out.
Hits from that open stance, and it really gets that lower half into it. Got that face facing right at the pitcher and moves into the pitch.
By pitch tracks, Keppinger should be out.
Going on the inside quarter.
What do we need a home plate umpire?
Oh, don't go there. Keppinger hits this one into center. Easier play for Rasmus. 2 fly ball outs to start the game for Jay Happ.
And that's just what Jay needs to be doing right there. Be aggressive early in the game. You've got pretty good defense behind you, especially out there in center field. Let him be a part of the game. Let him touch the ball.
I thought he certainly did that after the 1st inning in his last start. We touched on it a little bit on the opening, how it took him 40 pitches to get through the 1st inning, but he ended up throwing 5, and he was aggressive after that 1st inning.
41 pitches in the 1st inning Friday night in Kansas City, and that really forced him out of the game early. Alex Rios goes after the first pitch, and Rajai Davis is there. How about a 7-pitch inning? Big improvement for Jay Happ. He dispatches the White Sox in order. Rajai Davis has worn out the pitcher Jose Quintana. He's 4 for 5 against Quintana. Melky Cabrera and J.P. Arencibia having a great homestand. Jose Bautista in the lineup, and that's a big void in that 3 spot in the order. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays lineup. We mentioned Rajay Davis has had a good run against Jose Quintana. How about J.P. Arancibia? On this homestand in Rogerson this year, he's hit .355 with 5 home runs. He's homered in back-to-back games. Edwin Encarnacion starting to heat up with the bat in this series. He is 5 for 8. That's a good sign for things to come.
And on the mound for the White Sox today, 24-year-old left-hander Jose Quintana. He throws basically 2 fastballs, 1 in and out. He throws a good cutter, and he's got a good curveball. Coming off a great start in Cleveland the last outing where he went 7 innings and only gave up 1 hit. And he loves to pound the right-handers on the inner half of the plate.
Rajay Davis. We mentioned Davis. He's 4 for 5 against Quintana in his head-to-head matchups. Takes a strike, 1-1.
Very simple delivery, and he comes right after you. I think that batters have to be very aggressive. He throws a lot of strikes. Sometimes he throws too many strikes.
This is popped up. Foul ground. They got him done in the coach's box. Calls for it and makes the catch.
Let's take a look at the defense for the White Sox. They led all of baseball in fielding percentage last year. They've gotten off to a slow start defensively. Viciedo, Diaz, and Alex Rios in the outfield. Jeff Keppinger back at third base after spending yesterday at second. Tyler Green fills in back there. Adam Dunn over at first base. Battery is Quintana and Tyler Flowers, who is back out there. And after a big hit in last night's game, the game winner, Viciedo, coming into his own defensively.
Melky Cabrera. It's the first pitch fastball for a strike. Cabrera just 1 for 6 on this homestand.
Well, Quintana's got very good mechanics out there, and what he's doing is he's stepping and throwing. All his energy is going right towards home plate in the catcher. He squares up nicely in a good fielding position.
Well, the White Sox like to elevate with 2 strikes. We've seen it throughout this series.
They've done it to Melky Cabrera. They have done it to Colby Rasmus. They've tried it to J.P. Arancibia.
This is another pop-up. Dunn again calls for it. 2 outs. J.P. Arancibia, we mentioned he's homered in back-to-back games. Last night it came in the 6th inning.
You know, he is under control, and he's in one of those deals right now. That was a high fastball. You saw the reaction from the catcher. They wanted to get it up. He is in one of those home run swings right now. Even with 2 strikes, he says he feels comfortable. He sees the ball really well, and he's using his hands. There's not a lot of extra movement in this swing right now.
2 outs. Hitters like to talk about his power as easy pop. Not a lot of effort. He's not getting his body involved, and ball's jumping off his bat.
That's when you're starting to use your hands, and then you'll see the batting average start to go up.
Isn't it interesting, and you and I have talked about this, how the league thinks that Arancibia is a breaking ball hitter, and they keep throwing him fastballs, and now he's made the adjustment and he's hurt them. Hard, but right to the second baseman, Tyler Green. Both lefties have a good start to their ball game. Quintana sits down the Blue Jays in order. We're scoreless after 1.
saw an excellent first inning from Jay Happ. We've been talking about his last start in Kansas City, where it took him 41 pitches to get through that first inning. Tonight, through that first inning, 7 pitches, and he used his fastball effectively. Well,
Pete Walker has convinced him you don't have to be perfect in the first inning. You just have to be aggressive right over the plate. Let your fielders touch the ball. He did that. Colby Rasmus twice and one out to Rajai Davis. So being aggressive, throwing strikes.
Paul Konerko had a home run in the 7th inning last night on a 3-0 pitch off Josh Johnson, leading off the 7th. Konerko off to a good start with the production. 3 homers and 10 RBIs already. Konerko's one of those guys that never really looks like he's going to get to the fastball and gets to all of them.
Yeah, and he doesn't overswing either. We talked about JP Arnacibi and how he's really been using his hands. This guy's been doing it for years. And we talked about his home runs over his whole career. Leads the organization with, what, 13, Buck? 20?
13 consecutive seasons with 20 or more home runs.
This is the 3-0 pitch that you were talking about. Robin Ventura, he's been a hitter. He knows Josh Johnson was locked in, and he gave Paul Konerko that one shot, and he delivered. 425 home runs now in his career. Big numbers.
You know, Paul Konerko, he just doesn't hardly ever miss a fastball over the plate.
Right there, he gets caught looking at strike 3. He felt like he was off the plate inside, and he is down. Fans, it's time for our BlackBerry Sneak Peek Stat of the Game, brought to you by the new BlackBerry Z10, built to keep you moving.
Inside fastball, something we just saw right there from Jay Happ as he locked up Paul Konerko. He's using it a little bit more this year. Saw in 2012, 17% of the time that was a fastball that he crowded hitters with. This year a little bit more, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a formula for success for almost every pitcher. You got to establish inside, and that way you're able to go away. Jay Happ is pretty fond of Rogers Center too. Saw a pretty interesting stat in 5 starts here. He's 4-1 with a nice 2-point-something ERA.
And the hitters have only hit 187 against him in this ballpark. Ball and a strike to Adam Dunn. And this has always been characterized as a hitter's ballpark. Those are pretty impressive numbers by Happ.
And Jay Happ has always been characterized, as you see the shift by the Blue Jays, as a fly ball type of pitcher. That could be dangerous in this park, but he's been great.
Well, guys, when the weather is a little rough outside and they have the roof closed here, the one advantage for the pitcher is he keeps all his perspiration in him. He's still warm late in the game. He's feeling strong.
Ground ball is Sturris almost straight away at second. Throws to first, 2 outs.
And unlike the typical spring weather elsewhere, especially in the northern part of the country, you don't have to deal with wind and sleet and snow and all those ugly things.
8 inches of snow in Colorado before they could play. They had to shovel the field off yesterday. Minnesota's supposed to get some more snow.
Yeah, they are.
2 outs. Here is Ryan Vizieto. And the game-winning RBI last night. Had 3 hits Monday night. I'll tell you what, Jay Happ took something out of his last start after that first inning. Boy, he pounded the strike zone, and he's carried that right into this game.
We had a talk with him after that game, and we both asked him, we said, hey, what was the difference? And he said, you know what? If I want to make it to 5 innings, I better start having some shorter innings. Start using my fastball just a little bit more. And that started Kansas City. And we both said, it's really hard to hit. You got to throw that ball in there because it's tough to square up that baseball.
I'll tell you what, Vizieto is starting to look real dangerous. He had a good rip at that pitch.
Pretty good bat speed right there.
Robin Ventura has talked about him being a little bit in between. Not real sure of counts. You got to get it ready and just have to put swing mode on him. He is a free swinger. and he'll strike out. Won't walk a whole lot.
2-2 pitch, breaking ball. He stays back and rips it down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Up against the wall, into the corner. Viciedo with a 2-out double. His third double of the season. First hit off Jay Happ.
Well, Jay rushes this breaking ball a little bit. Basically, its spin stays up in the zone. And those are the ones you wish you had back as a pitcher because they're right in the wheelhouse of a hitter.
Boy, especially with 2 strikes.
Yep.
Bury it. Free swinger like that, you bury that ball down and he swings right over the top of it.
Shortstop Alexei Ramirez. Ramirez was 1 for 2 last night. Takes one inside off the plate. Ramirez walked twice in the game last night. Had a single in 2 official at-bats. No swing, says Manny Gonzalez down at first base. 2-0.
Well, you can see Ramirez trying to cheat a little bit inside. He's trying to quicken up. He's saying, if you're going to throw me in there, I'm going to get open a little bit quicker. And he almost went after that ball.
We saw him open up last night, pulled a couple balls foul.
He is right on top of the plate, too.
Taking all the way. It's 3-0.
And he's very close to the pitcher. A lot of times you want to see hitters a little bit deeper in the batter's box so they can track it just a little bit longer. He's taking a page out of Kobe Rasmus's book right there. He is on the plate and up in the batter's box.
As a strike, give me a pitcher's perspective from center field looking in. Does that really give you a small target to shoot for when that guy's right on the plate?
Well, you know, there's a lot of guys that get intimidated, pitchers, I mean, when a hitter crowds the plate. They just figure that, you know, they want the ball in, and what they're really trying to do is bait you into throwing it away. The closer they got to the plate, the further in I'd go. And basically what I'm telling him is, look, this is mine, and let's fight over it. If you want it in, come on in.
And you're going to have to hit it.
Yep. Exactly.
But you can't go away from your strength. Full count, 2 outs. Runner at second is Viciedo. No score early on. Time has been called by the first base umpire. Something on the field. It looks like it might be a baseball. They're going to throw it out of play. Inside, ball 4. Well, they really tried to work Ramirez inside, and he wouldn't bite. Didn't chase anything borderline on the inner part of the plate.
Tried to go in, they tried to go up and in, and he likes that ball away so he can shoot it to right field.
So the catcher, Tyler Flowers, will step in, and I would be very wary of this first pitch to Flowers. He's thinking about doing some major damage, getting the first pitch strike.
He's been in a big-time slump and had some extra batting practice yesterday.
Well, you start him off with a changeup right there. And if you're throwing a changeup, there's only one place for it, and that's down and away. You want to make sure you keep it down and away from the hitter, because a good hitter keeps his hands back, and he can get fooled with his lower body, but his hands are back and just drop the hammer on it inside.
That ball beat him inside, and he fights it off.
He's got some power. He just hasn't been able to find his stroke right now. Had that lengthy work day yesterday with the day off, and says he's going to try a little different approach today. He's going to have a little bit more of an open stance. He's going to stand just a little bit taller at the plate. He's hoping that it helps him see the ball just a little bit better.
Happ staying inside and just missing. White Sox doing a pretty good job of not offering it those borderline pitches.
Well, it's a big at bat for Jay Happ. Like I said, 7 pitches in the first inning. He's already to 24 here in the second inning.
driven to center and deep. Rasmus looking up. This ball is gone. Tyler Flowers on a 2-1 pitch drives it out of the ballpark, and the White Sox have taken a 3-0 lead.
Well, that extra batting practice yesterday, about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Flowers came out yesterday and got some extra batting practice, and it's paying off already. Once again, a little bit more of an open stance, standing a little bit taller, and he goes down and golfs that ball out. It's a low fastball, and he just pushes it to deep right center field and gets the White Sox on the board after 2 were out.
Messier with a double, and then the walk to Ramirez, and Flowers takes advantage. 3-0 Chicago. For Flowers, that's his 3rd home run of the season. The 15th hit by the White Sox. The White Sox have been utilizing the home run for the majority of their run production. 15th home run of the season, and Flowers now with those 3 RBIs, they've driven in 27 of the 52 runs on home runs.
Sounds like the Blue Jays. Blue Jays count on the home runs a lot for their runs. They haven't really been hitting yet with runners in scoring position, both the Blue Jays and the White Sox, so those home runs are important.
Tyler Green. Green was just picked up by the White Sox. He made his White Sox debut here on Monday. Pulls back for an up and in fastball.
All right there, Jay, just overthrowing that pitch. You saw JP set up inside. He just rushed at the ball, just came way late out of his hand.
Ball is hit to center. Rasmus on the run again, and he'll get there just short of the warning track and straightaway center. It took Jay had 30 pitches after a 7-pitch first inning. Chicago has taken a 3-0 lead on the 3rd home run of the season by their catcher Tyler Flowers. April 21st, it's presented by the Toronto Star. The Blue Jays will take on the New York Yankees. The game starts at 1:07 p.m. First 20,000 fans into Rogers Center will receive an Edwin Encarnacion bobblehead doll. For tickets, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. Log on to BlueJays.com or stop by most Rogers Plus locations. Ground ball. Keppinger waits on it at third, across the diamond, and Edwin is retired, 1 down. Brett Flory will step in the box, his 2nd game back with the ball club.
Well, I know he didn't get any hits, but he showed signs of what he can bring to this ball club. This play right here was fantastic. And he threw out Rios by a lot. Playing deep, comes in and shows his athleticism. He came within an eyelash of a base hit, and then he flew out to center field, if you remember that, in the 9th inning. So it's getting there. Got a lot of talent.
Sacrifice fly in the 9th inning, picked up the 3rd run, but the Jays would fall short by a run. They lost 4-3. Laurie hit .273 a year ago. His first full season in the big leagues. 26 doubles, 3 triples, and 11 homers. Nearly a 300 hitter here in this ballpark. This has got to really be difficult for him. The team isn't really scoring a lot of runs. He comes up and he probably thinks, man, I'm going to get things going and spark this ball club. That's tough.
Yeah, I was talking to him about that yesterday. I said, Brett, you know, you've missed 2 weeks. Don't try and make them all up in 1 or 2 games. He goes, I know, but I'm excited. I want to do well. I said, you will. Just keep your head down and just go out there and play the game.
You know, in some ways, it's kind of like Munenori Kawasaki in that, you know, his defense right now is probably a bigger value to the team. Whatever he gets offensively, it's going to take a little time. But just the mere fact of what he did last night defensively was a real pickup for this ball club.
He went after that high fastball. That's the first strikeout of the night for Quintana. 2 down. Colby Rasmus. Colby went deep last night in his first at bat. Long home run to center. He also added a single in the 5th. He was 2 for 2. His average up to 262.
They're going to stay with that fastball, and they're going to throw it off the plate. And they're going to try and get Colby to chase for it. Got to really set his sights down. He's an excellent low ball hitter.
He fights this ball off. You could see the graphic. 7 of his 11 hits this year have been extra base hits. 3 doubles and 4 homers. One and 2, 2 outs. White Sox up 3-0. Well, Quintana missed all the way across the plate. They were trying to go down and away. He missed up and in.
And that's just trying to overthrow, throw it even harder and make it even better pitch. And what you do is you rush your lower body, and your upper body never catches up.
Rasmus stays alive. He hit it right off the end of the bat. Let's go back to last night. Rasmus first at bat.
Ball down. Right there, right at the bottom of the strike zone, and he can cover that one. Hits it right off the face into the second deck and almost straightaway center field. And he's got some power. You throw it down and in or down, he can
He
lose
likes it down. That's why they're trying to go up in the zone, get him to chase.
And Rasmus strikes out. Quintana off to a great start. He picked up right where he left off last time out. He went 7 innings, allowed just 1 hit. He's retired all 6 batters he's faced tonight. top 30 teams on the planet are set to compete in the final curling event of the season, the Grand Slam of Curling's Players' Championship. Live from Mattamy Athletic Center, formerly known as the Maple Leaf Gardens. It all starts Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It's a great venue, the Mattamy Athletic Center. I was there today and watched some of the matches, and it was quite a setup. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. 15 best women's teams and 15 best men's teams competing for the Players' Championship. And you can see it all right here on Sportsnet.
And folks, Buck was raving about Maple Leaf Garden.
It was awesome to see it. They have obviously redone it, and Ryerson University has some great athletic facilities inside the building. Of course, they play hockey there. But they have maintained the integrity of the ceiling at the old Maple Leaf Gardens, and brings back so many great memories. 0-2 pitch. Leadoff man Alejandro De Aza. He lined out to center his first time up. Pops this one back out of play.
Good location with that fastball there. Kept it way inside. Diaz really couldn't do anything other than foul it off. So that could set him up for a breaking ball down right here. Let's come back in if he wants.
Let's see if Jay Happ incorporates his curveball a little bit more this inning.
Fastball hit on the ground. Sturris is there. Diaz is up, one down.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice. And by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Jeff Keppinger, number 2 man in the White Sox order. Boy, there's so many guys around baseball that are hitting under 200 off the slow starts. Everybody has a tendency to panic a bit. That ball is drilled but foul. Everybody wants to get off to a great start, obviously. Then you get a little cushion, you know. You can get into the season about a month. If you got your head above water, you can handle an 0 for 10, 0 for 15.
Doesn't take long either.
That's what makes it such a great game, though. Basically, everybody goes through a slump at some point in the season. It's a long summer, and if you start out that way, you've got to just keep battling along.
This is popped up into right field. Should be an easy play for Davis, and it is. 2 outs. We got a lot of great baseball fans out there that watch us every night. One of our great friends, Don Carson, is back home tonight. She's been under the weather, and we want to give her our best wishes. Don, it's great to have you back watching with us again tonight. And I'll tell you, Don, we'll take care of one of your worries. We'll look out for Scott. We're going to handle Scott just fine. So you get better and feel better, and we're glad you're back home.
Watching the Jays on your TV. Right, Scotty?
Big screen.
The big screen.
2 down. Jeff Keppinger flies out. Alex Rios takes one up and away. There's an off-speed pitch. Backed off and got a strike.
Great location with that changeup right there. That's where you want to throw a changeup.
Came right back with it and gets a foul tapping. Jay Happ is really an interesting guy. He's not overpowering, but last year he had a stretch of 6 straight strikeouts of the Texas Rangers, a potent hitting lineup. And what he did then, elevated that fastball and got them to chase upstairs. This is popped up. And Carnacion drifting to his right stays with it. And Jay Happ has a bounce back inning. Retires the top of the order for a second time.
Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Brett Laurie, Chad Mottola, J.P. Arancibia, and the two hitters nowhere to sit, trying to figure out Jose Quintana. Mark DeRosa is the DH for the first time this season. Boy, I've been impressed the way Quintana has started this ballgame.
Yeah, he hasn't really split the middle of the plate at all. He's throwing fastballs around the same miles per hour as Jay Happ. They're both around 91, 92. But he's got that cutter that bears down inside on a right-hander.
You know, it's a very simple delivery. And I was talking to a scout today about Quintana, and he watched his last game. And the Cleveland Indians batters were saying they have a hard time picking up the baseball off of him. Simple delivery. He really throws that front arm at the batter. Watch him.
Another elevated fastball, another pop-up. Adam Dunn has been busy tonight. That's the third pop-up he's handled. One down in the third. Fans, if you want your baseball questions answered by our team of experts, email asktheexperts@sportsnet.ca. Then you can keep your eye out for the Home Hardware Ask the Expert segment later on in the game. And right now, you could ask the expert, how in the world do we hit Jose Quintana?
Look fastball early.
We got to get a hit so we can ask that expert.
But the Indian batters were saying that the fastball was on top of them before they were recognizing it. And I think the first time through the lineup, Blue Jay batters can say the same thing.
Hot shot handled nicely by Keppinger. He's got a big target over at first, and Adam Dunn 2 down. So that'll bring the shortstop Munenori Kawasaki, and Moni has been some kind of clubhouse favorite because of things like this. This is all pre-game, as there's quite a cultural challenge in that dugout. We got Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Japanese, North Americans, Canadians, everybody trying to figure out Kawasaki's dances.
This guy's got more energy. He's got more energy than Jose Reyes, I think. And Reyes has a ton of energy.
Well, he has been a nice addition now. He continues to catch it at shortstop, and the other guy's hit won't be a problem. There's Jose Reyes, and he is still on the bench and lending his support even though he's on the DL.
Well, I notice a pattern forming here. Strike one, strike two from everything out of Quintana.
You can't build much with that pattern.
You know what he's not afraid of? He's not afraid to throw that front door cutter also. Those fastballs on the inner half right there, those are cutters.
Last year he faced 100 batters without walking one of them. A stretch of 100 batters, no walks. That was the longest stretch for a White Sox pitcher since a guy named Mark Burley did it back in 2009.
I'm pretty sure in my 18-year career I never did that.
Kawasaki stays alive. But he had the reputation throughout his minor league career being a strike thrower.
Yeah. Well, again, it's mechanics. He's got a very simple delivery. You know, it's conducive to throwing strikes because it's compact. He explodes right towards the target.
Not a lot of extra moving parts in that windup.
That's a base hit for Kawasaki. Viciedo cuts it off, gets it back to the infield, and Kawasaki is the first base runner to reach against Quintana.
They kept trying to pound him inside and pound him inside, and Kawasaki's got that inside-out type of swing. See how the hands go forward and the barrel stays behind? Head down, that's an inside-out swing right there. And he loves the inside fastball. You can play with that ball inside like that.
I was watching him take batting practice today, and he kept his head down so well. He wasn't even watching where the ball was going off his bat. He was just watching where his hands went through the zone.
Top of the order, Rajay Davis goes after the first pitch and fouls it back. Rajay lost the grip on his bat. Go back to the backstop to pick it up.
Rajay feels like he's a little bit quicker this year. He's got a little bit more power. Here's the follow through right here, and he loses that bat. Time to get some more pine tar. Stick him on that bat.
Blue Jays playing catch up once again. Tyler Flowers hit a 3-run home run in the top of the second. Quintana, Jack mentioned, he's 24 years old. He signed originally with the Mets, and they released him early on. He was just a kid. Then the Yankees signed him in 2008 and pitched in their summer league. White Sox signed him in November of 2011 as a minor league free agent. Just kind of took a shot on him. You'd have to sign him on his mechanics alone, wouldn't you? He's got a great delivery.
Well, they're pretty simple. You know, last two pitches he's rushed a little bit trying to throw the ball, but that's also part of just trying to throw up in the zone. So working on the aggression of the hitter, see if he'll swing.
2-1 to Davis. Breaking ball, base hit to right. Kawasaki will stop at second. Rios gets it back to the infield. Back-to-back hits with 2 outs here in the third.
That's how you keep that front shoulder in there. Watch Rajay doesn't try to open up too much and just drive that ball the other way. Again, a pitch that was inside. And again, a hitter can handle that ball a little bit easier. They're not reaching for it. They don't get off balance on that pitch on the inner half.
Melky Cabrera popped up to the first baseman his first time up. Melky with just 1 extra base hit so far this season. Breaking ball for a strike. Last year, Cabrera with the Giants in 113 games had 46 extra base hits.
I think it's just a matter of time for Melky Cabrera. He's too good of a hitter. He has stung a couple of balls that they have run down on that road trip. Those extra base hits will be there.
Ball on a strike. Might have broken his bat. Sounded like he was out in front of it. You mentioned that Quintana is a strike thrower early in this game. He has proven that.
.73% of those pitches within the strike zone. That's not too shabby.
That's pretty good math, Tabby.
1-2, 2 outs, 2 runners on. Up and in, it clanks off Flowers' glove, but doesn't go far enough to advance.
Now Melky knows that they've been trying to pound him up. Once they get to 2 strikes, set your sights down, and if they throw it down, get ready to swing.
Stays alive. He fights off that inside pitch.
Well, this whole at bat, you can see where the pitch tracks are showing. Everything's knee high, right there down in the zone. He had 1 flyer up and in, but pretty much consistently in and out, down in the zone.
That's why you have a meeting. If you're Tyler Flowers, you walk out and say, okay, we've worked him downstairs throughout this at bat. Let's see if we can't pop one upstairs and get him to chase.
And I think Melky's a good low ball hitter too. His swing, the way he swings the bat, he can handle that low pitch. I think that's why they've been pounding him up when they get the 2 strikes.
Kawasaki at second, Davis at first. A couple of good base runners aboard for Melky Cabrera. Boy, now they just had a meeting. They just talked about things, and somebody forgot.
Yeah. All those guilty, please raise your hand. Oh, there it is, the catcher.
Cabrera strikes out. Quintana gets out of it. He gave up a couple of hits with 2 outs, but strikes out Cabrera. He's got 3 strikeouts so far in this game. In 2012, Jays Care Foundation had a positive impact on more than 23,000 children and youth across Canada. Tonight, this achievement was commemorated as the Jays Care community partners received a check for $1.9 million from Jays Care. Congratulations to the partners and to Jays Care Foundation for their great work. Paul Konerko. First pitch changeup misses up and away. Konerko was caught looking at strike 3. A fastball caught the inside corner for the first out of the second. Paul Konerko signed originally with the Dodgers. He was traded from LA to Cincinnati in a deal for Jeff Shaw, the reliever. And then he was traded from Cincinnati to Chicago for Mike Cameron. And it's been a great deal for the White Sox. Konerko goes the other way. Rajay Davis, a late break, and drops the ball. Now he may have hurt himself as that ball hit off of his glove. But he got a late break. He got to it. The ball looked like it hit in the palm of his glove, but popped out before he hit the fence in right.
Remember, that ball is slicing away from a right fielder, from a right-handed hitting batter. And this ball was slicing right off the bat at Konerko. He drives it to right field, but it's to the glove side, so Rajay has a shot at it and misses it. Then he jams that leg right up against the wall. You see that great speed gets them there. Misses it, and he hammers that knee right into that wall. Recovers to hold Konerko to a double.
It will be scored a double for Konerko. Davis appears to be okay.
Look at the ankle as it goes right into the wall, and then the knee hammers that padding. Shook him up just for a second. Looks like he's able to walk that one off.
Adam Dunn takes a fastball up and away. It's 1-1. Well, that's a tough break right there. Davis got to it. Looked like it hit off the heel of his glove, and Konerko ends up at second to start the inning. Adam Dunn is now 1 for 10 against Jay Happ. He doesn't have a whole lot of fun against Happ. Happ needs a strikeout here.
Well, he's a good candidate to strike out.
Gets a piece of that one and stays alive.
That's exactly where Adam Dunn likes the ball, right there, down and in.
Got to figure out a way. You know how the White Sox have been pounding our lefties up with 2 strikes. That might be a good idea.
He needs to spin a curveball here. I think that's what he wants to do.
Breaking ball out of the strike zone.
Breaking ball, but it bounced in. Dunn wouldn't chase. 2-2. What was your mindset as a pitcher on a 2-2 pitch?
Well, typically, whatever I throw 2-2, I'm going to throw again 3-2. And so I wanted to make sure I threw a strike. I'm going to show him my best pitch right now.
Good pitch. He wouldn't offer, and then, although he strikes out a lot, he also walks a lot.
Yeah.
He'll swing through strikes, but doesn't swing at many bad balls.
He's got a great eye. 100 walks, 100 strikeouts. Put it down for Adam Dunn. 40 homers also.
Full count. There's that up and in fastball, and he does get the big strikeout.
There's not a lot you can do with that pitch up like this. You'll pop it up, you'll foul it back, you'll swing right through it. And if you happen to keep it fair, it's usually just a fly ball, an easy fly ball. So big out for Jay Happ.
Konerko still at second base with the leadoff double. Viciedo hit an opposite field double his first time up. It came with 2 outs. He came in to score the first run of the ball game. It was a 2-strike breaking ball. So it'll be interesting to watch how Happ attacks Viciedo in this at bat.
They had a lot of success last night with Josh Johnson on the mound, jamming him with fastballs, not letting Viciedo extend those arms.
That rocked the home plate umpire, Jeff Nelson. The foul tip went right over Aaron Sebia, and Nelson got hit pretty hard right in the mask.
This is a nice little wake-up call for you. Wow. Rock your world, won't it?
Oh, those poor umpires.
J.P. Aaron Sebia is giving Nelson a break by going to the mound to help Jeff make sure the stars are gone before he calls the next pitch. Checking out the equipment, making sure everything is intact, and thanked Aaron Sebia for the extra time to regroup.
Jeff Nelson was the home plate umpire in opening night here for R.A. Dickey.
Viciedo may have clipped Aaron Sebia with the backswing, and he felt it, so he wanted to make sure JP was okay. Most of the time, catchers won't get hit when they reach outside for a pitch. Happens when you go inside.
Watch the extension and the follow through. Hits him right on the wrist. Ouch.
Running 2, 1 out. It's always a challenge for a pitcher to pitch around a leadoff extra base hit, double or triple. You just got to really take it one pitch at a time and try to work your way out of it.
Yeah, and somewhere in that at bat for those next couple of batters, you've got to get an out without that runner advancing.
How about back-to-back strikeouts? That'll do it.
It's a good plan.
And they went back to where they were last night. They really crowded him with the fastball. He had a strikeout and a couple of ground outs to the third baseman weakly. And watch how he can't extend. See how he had to pull his hands in. Just can't get the barrel. He's a little bit tardy also on that up and in fastball. I think that's a good pitch right there. Stay right there.
Two down. Konerko still standing at second. Alexei Ramirez goes after the first pitch and gives it a ride. Colby Rasmus looking up. It's at the base of the wall. Konerko jogs home from second, and Ramirez, not wasting any time, jumps on the first pitch and hits a double to center.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready his last time up. Ramirez ended up walking when Viciedo was out at second base after that 2-out double. This time they wanted the ball down and away, and it ended up over the middle of the plate about belt high, and Ramirez got some pop. He's had a 20 home run season in his career. He got a little pop in that bat. He took the center field to drive in the run.
Boy, you could see the target by Aaron Seavey was set up down and away, and the ball ran right back into his wheelhouse.
Right up out over the best part of the plate for most hitters. The ball belt high, middle half.
John Gibbons and the Blue Jays are now down by 4. Konerko with the leadoff double comes in to score the 4th run of the game. Chicago with 4 runs on 4 hits. Of course, the big blow was a 3-run home run off the bat of Tyler Flowers, who's in the batter's box and goes after the first pitch. Davis comes in and he makes the catch, but the White Sox, on a 2-out double by Alexei Ramirez, have expanded their lead to 4-0. For Ramirez, his 3rd RBI of the season comes on his 5th double. Home Run Derby will take place in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's in support of Jays Care Foundation. It'll take place Wednesday, June 26th at Nat Bailey Stadium. Join Roberto Alomar, Cecil Fielder, Candy Maldonado, Lloyd Mosby, Homer Bush, and Devon White. Take some batting practice with some Blue Jays legends. Go to BlueJays.com/JaysCare for more information. I guess my invitation is in the mail. Home run contest that I'm not invited.
June 26th.
Come on, Robbie.
You working that day?
I must be. That's the only reason I wouldn't be in a home run contest.
Same here.
Quintana delivers a strike to Aaron Seavey. It'll be 3-4-5 for the Blue Jays. Find themselves down 4-0 early. Quintana is from Colombia. There have been 13 players, according to Stats Inc., that have come out of Colombia. This is a fly ball to center. Diaza moves to his left, makes the catch.
The 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful shot of downtown Toronto. CN Tower and that building on the right with the little red top. That's the Royal York Hotel. Used to be the tallest building in Toronto. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not even close.
You can barely even see it in the skyline of Toronto. Edwin Encarnacion. This has popped out of play. We mentioned Quintana from Colombia, and that there are 13 Colombian-born players that have played in the big leagues. Ernesto Frieri, hard-throwing reliever for the Angels, came from the same hometown as Quintana, Arona, and Jackie Gutierrez played with the Red Sox. Of course, the Cabrera brothers, Hobert and Orlando Cabrera, both from Colombia. Julio Teheran from the Braves, hard-throwing pitcher. Edgar Renteria has probably had the most success of any Colombian-born player. That ball is drilled into left field. Encarnacion starting to heat things up. He's now 6 for 10 on this homestand.
Well, he's keeping that front shoulder in a lot better. The swing is shortened up. He's kept both hands on that bat. The swing is compact, and now he's starting to get a lot of hits, warming up. Going to get these hits now with guys on base. Edwin can drive in runs in bunches. And you're right, he is starting to square up that pitch.
Brett Laurie gets a first pitch breaking ball strike. Laurie chased a high fastball and struck out his first timer.
Seems like when Edwin starts heating up, the ball is scalded too. It's not just any little bleeders. Their balls are blistered through the infield.
Now, if you're John Gibbons, you just got to tell him to start getting that ball airborne.
I think they're just pleased with his timing right now because he's squaring them up. They'll leave the ballpark in short order.
Hit the ball hard and stay where you're at.
We mentioned the slow start. Encarnacion had a finger problem in spring training. Didn't have a lot of at-bats and got off to a slow start. He's behind that big guy at first.
And Edwin's a big guy.
The house.
Edwin's a big guy too. Dunn's making him look small.
But when you don't have regular at-bats and you try to hit big league pitching, you're going to have some problems. His first 7 games, he hit .074. In the last 7, it's a different story. That's a little bit more like what you expect from Encarnacion.
Yeah, he'll start getting those extra base hits, and those RBIs will start coming.
1-2. Off-speed pitch, and Laurie strikes out for a second time. That's probably the biggest challenge for a guy just getting his feet back in the batter's box in the big league, the off-speed pitches.
Yeah, it has to do with timing. There's a lot of movement, and right now you don't see those type of breaking balls when you're down rehabbing an A ball. Pitchers that can control 3 pitches like Quintana can. Right now you just have to just be patient. Don't try and ask yourself to do too much. Just build on one at bat after another.
Colby Rasmus struck out his first time up.
You know, it's amazing how, you get one hit. It could be a bleeder, it could be a bloop, it could be a broken bat, and your mindset changes. You can be lost in the sauce like you wouldn't believe, and then you get that one hit and everything is good.
Boy, isn't that the truth? You just feel like the weight of the world is lifted off your shoulders. You break that offer, and all of a sudden, you got an average again.
Hey, you got friends again.
Yeah, nobody ever wants to sit by you when you're not swinging the bats. Believe me, there's plenty of hits in that bat.
Upstairs, it's 2-1 to Rasmus.
With a 4-run lead now, Quintana's game plan changes slightly, and that is you're going to have to throw strikes all the time. You don't want to put guys on at all with any free passes. He's got to still pitch his game, but you have a little more leniency. You want to challenge hitters even more.
You know what? Hitters know that, so they should be in swing mode.
They should be.
Right now, 3-1. I'm looking for a fastball, and I'm going to see how far I can hit it.
And what you're seeing in Quintana is that he's starting to nibble a little bit. He's trying to be a little too fine. And his pitch count's starting to creep up a little.
That didn't get him here. He's been aggressive.
He's breaking ball to throw a strike. He's still pitching. I think your point about continuing to use all your pitches is a great one. I just think you shoot for bigger portions of the plate and try to be so fine. It's a full count, 2 outs. Encarnacion will be off on the pitch at first. There he goes. Rasmus strikes out, another breaking ball. So Quintana battles back from a 3-1 count to strike out Rasmus. Chicago has a 4-run lead. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Blackberry Broadcast Studio. Listen to live audio, follow games pitch by pitch, and enjoy in-game video highlights. The app is available on the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Android, and BlackBerry Z10. Season-long subscriptions packages are available for $19.99. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. At Bat 13 is the official app of Major League Baseball. And if you had the at Bat 13 right now, you'd know that the Cardinals are being no-hit into the 5th inning by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So check it out.
That A.J. Burnett, did I read that correctly, that he was supposed to throw? I know they got rained out yesterday.
A.J. Burnett, 4 2/3, 6 strikeouts, no walks.
Wow.
There's a strike right on the inside corner. Travis Snyder has the only RBI for Pittsburgh. 1-0 game. This is popped up and playable. Laurie calls for it. Makes the catch. Blue Jays have had problems economizing on their pitches early in the season, and you can see that it's cost the starters.
Yeah, it's going to really show up later in the season when the relievers have to come in and pitch so many innings. 18 pitches per inning, that's just not going to get it done. Well, 13 or 14 is about right, isn't it?
Well, you'd like to have it under 15 every inning, but closer to 10 would be ideal.
Diaz is called for the swing by Larry Vanover down at third.
And what I mean by they add up, if you can do 15 as opposed to 18, that's 3 pitches per inning, average 6, that's 18 pitches per start. That's another whole inning.
That's right.
And those things start to add up as you start to play, and the relievers have to cover that extra inning. And you start to feel it in July and August.
Those two guys doing a better job their last time out.
I think as a pitcher, if you just recognize if you can stay in the game longer, there's a chance that the offense is going to score you more runs.
I've told a lot of teammates that the way to win is to outlast the other guy. and hope your team rallies, because you never know when they're going to throw up that big crooked number.
Yep.
And despite the slow start, this team's going to score some runs.
Yeah, it is. Jose Bautista's bat is missing right now, and that's a big bat, Jose Reyes. But there's still plenty of offensive players in this lineup for the Blue Jays.
Jays are off to a 6-8 start. Reyes, of course, hopefully he'll be back in the lineup by the All-Star break. This is popped up. Aaron Sevilla over in front of the White Sox dugout. Makes a running catch. A couple of pop-ups in the inning. Well, Jay Happ had a terrific first inning. He threw just 7 pitches in the first, but the second inning he threw 30, so that's elevated his pitch count. After that 30-pitch inning, he settled down. He threw 12 in the third, 17 in the fourth, and now he has added a few here up to 75.
Doesn't take long, does it? That one bad inning can really get you out of the ball game quickly.
Another pop-up. He's got a little extra hop on that fastball. Davis is there, and Happ retires the White Sox on 3 pop-ups, just 10 pitches, and he's through the 5th. Blue Jays will try to get something going in the bottom half. Back to Rogers Center. And it'll be the bottom of third of the Blue Jays order here in the bottom of the 5th, and they've got to get something going against a very tough young left-hander, Jose Quintana. Mark DeRosa popped up in foul ground with the first baseman. He takes a strike. Boy, Quintana's had the ability to get that breaking ball over when he's been behind tonight.
See how it's fooling the hitters also? They are looking for that fastball, and they're out on that front foot.
And that ball's, as you can see, split right down the middle, but it's got some hop on it. Like you said, Patty, the hitters don't recognize that initially, and it's on them before they realize it.
They have had trouble picking up that ball. Here comes another high fastball. Good sequence.
Quick work of DeRosa. That's 6 strikeouts now for Quintana. Enjoying those big comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are folks from the Native Child and Family Services of Toronto. The TD Comfort Zone, courtesy of TD. And you can see that young fan, he picked up on all the little signs the Blue Jays make. Historis, after the first pitch, grounds out to third base. Keppinger with an easy play.
Jose Quintana continues to make it look easy. relatively effortless because he's getting ahead of hitters. Like Buck said, he's able to throw that breaking ball in fastball counts. And he's got some giddy up on the fastball.
Munenori Kawasaki singled with 2 outs back into third. Rajai Davis would follow that up with a 2-out single, but then Melky Cabrera struck out. Kawasaki will get to see his longtime idol on Friday. Ichiro Suzuki and the New York Yankees will be in town. Of course, Ichiro Suzuki is still idolized in Japan. He does an awful lot of advertising. He represents a lot of different companies, and he's the most popular baseball player in Japan. 2-1, 2 outs. There's a strike.
When he was with Seattle, and I'm talking about Kawasaki, he looked like Ichiro, didn't he? Same mannerisms. The two of them in the lineup, you couldn't tell them apart.
Yeah, he copied a lot of Ichiro's mannerisms at the plate. And we mentioned this before. In fact, he started his professional career in Japan wearing 52. Said he wanted to follow Ichiro, and of course Ichiro always wore 51. Breaking ball, he lays off. He has pretty good discipline with that bat.
Yeah, he's had some good at bats since he's been in the starting lineup since Jose Reyes went out. Battle, see a lot of pitches. He has made him work, that pitcher. And that's good when you're going to turn that lineup over.
He fought that ball off and was upset that he didn't put it in play.
Same type of swing like he got his single his last time up. Fastball in the inner half, and he slashed it the other way.
Well, I tell you what, that last replay looked like Ichiro. The way he kept his head down on the baseball, trying to drive that ball to left.
That swing there the same way. Fastball in, and he's almost got a running start over to first base.
Pops this one down the left side. Keppinger giving it a look, but it's out of play.
Kawasaki having a very good at bat here, adding to Quintana's pitch count. Right now, that's one thing I guess the Jays can hope to try to do is go up there and add the pitch count, and hopefully they'll get to his limit and get him out of there.
Yeah, then you look at some of the guys they roll out of that bullpen. They got to get a couple of guys on and get a big hit. That's where it's going to start.
Quite a battle being put up by Kawasaki here. Look at all the pitches, and he spoiled some good ones. Laid off the pitches down and away. He and Quintana have quite a battle going.
He's tried a little bit of everything. He's tried his breaking balls, tried a ton of fastballs. Haven't seen that front door cutter.
Or a changeup.
Another 3-2 pitch. Another foul into the seats.
It's frustrating for a pitcher. The guy keeps fouling the ball off, especially real good pitches when he's able to just get the piece of the ball. And you get frustrated. Sometimes you wish you'd just hit him in the first pitch and go to the pitch to the next guy.
This is the 10th pitch of the at-bat. How about that? He walked him. So Kawasaki's aboard for a second time tonight. That'll turn the lineup over.
First walk of the game for Quintana.
He started that at bat with 67 pitches in the ball game, and now sits at 78. What an at bat by Kawasaki.
Back to the top of the order. Rajai Davis singled his last time up. another base hit. Kawasaki is headed to third. Viciero's throw goes to second, and Davis is in there standing. 9-1 have kept the inning alive here, and now this is what you were talking about, Pat. An opportunity to get a big hit.
Get a couple of guys on and then come up with the big hit. That's where the Blue Jays have struggled, especially here at home. Rajay Davis strokes that ball into left center field. It's run down by Viciero. With the great speed of Rajay, you're not going to get him at second base. He legs it into second with a double.
And it's amazing. Here we're talking about Quintana kind of almost on cruise control. He's pitching a whale of a game here tonight. And Rajay Davis in the lineup because he's had really good numbers against Quintana. And it's funny how certain guys see the ball off certain pitchers.
Davis is now 6 for 8 against Quintana.
Pretty good.
That's real good.
I'll take it.
Melky Cabrera with a chance to get the Jays right back in this game. Sharply hit the right to the shortstop. Ramirez in plenty of time, and the Blue Jays strand a pair. They have been shut out through 5 innings. We'll go to the top of the 6th. And here comes the Home Hardware Cleanup Crew, brought to you by Natura. Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products.
Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful CN Tower right next door to Rogers Center. Lit up on a beautiful spring night here in Toronto. Closed baseball at Rogers Center indoors. We move to the top of the 6th. Jay Happ victimized by a 3-run home run in the 2nd inning. Tyler Flowers going deep. Changeup evens the count at a ball and a strike.
Yeah, right now it's the 2 home runs in the game, or the 1 home run, excuse me.
There's a high, deep drive to left. Alex Rios has touched it off.
2 home runs.
Home run Rios for Rios, number 5 on the season.
Well, Alex Rios has always been a player who's been able to reach the outside part of the plate and still pull it because he's got long arms. He's got great plate coverage at the plate. When he is standing there, and if you try and work the ball away, you can still get the head out. Rios with number 5, and watch where it is. He goes out, extends, and that one is not coming back to left field. And I think Jay knew. I watched the reaction from Jay Happ. He knew that he missed his spot. He wanted that ball down the way. He's not even going to look at it.
You can tell Hitter Rios really squared it up, and a distinctive sound of that bat meeting that ball right in the sweet spot. 5-0 Chicago.
That's a crazy feeling for a pitcher, knowing you release the ball. There's times where I'm in the middle of my delivery, and just where my hand is, I know the ball's going to get crushed.
I've had pitchers say no.
Yeah, yell no before you even release the pitch.
Come back.
So before you even let go of the pitch,
There's been times you just, I mean, literally, it's not that way. It's probably just after you release it.
Yeah, sometimes you can see where it's going, and
I always
results
watched
are not
it,
going to
though.
be pretty.
I never did what he just did. I figure, well, it's my bad. I might as well watch it go.
Pops it into right. AT Davis gets under it. Makes the catch. 1 out here in the 6th. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. It's the second time Adam Jones has missed a ball in center that's led to a couple of runs.
What's going on here? That guy's a great center fielder.
Ramon Ortiz loosening up in the Blue Jays pen. Yeah, Jones had one in Yankee Stadium. He took his eye off of him and dropped. And boy, that sounds like it cost him tonight. Curveball slider combination, and Dunn is in the hole 0-2. Jay Happ coming into this game was 2-0. And he really started to throw the ball well at the end of his last outing in Kansas City and carried that right into the start of this game tonight. But then in the second inning, with 2 outs, he gave up a double, walked a batter, and a 3-run home run, and he found himself behind early.
He's only given up 5 hits tonight. 4 runs coming on 2 of those swings, the home runs that you were just talking about.
And that's what you're going to deal with the White Sox coming into this game. They hit 17 home runs, 2 more tonight, and the Oakland A's lead the American League with 20, which is a surprising number for Oakland.
The other notable thing there is you can almost live with the 1-run innings, but those multi-run innings, the second inning of this game where he gave up 3.
Brett Laurie from right field throws out Dunn. The shift works to get the second out of this inning.
So Oakland has 20 home runs. Chicago White Sox 4th in the American League with 17 home runs coming into this game. That is odd because of that ballpark. That's a huge ballpark in Oakland.
Well, they have played mostly day games early in the season out in Oakland. Ball flies a little bit better, but still, it's not a team you relate to a lot of home runs with.
I got one of my ex-teammates as their new hitting coach, Chili Davis. And I promise you, he's telling him to let it go.
Yeah, Davis had a real positive impact on him last year. And even though Cespedes is currently on the disabled list with a bad finger, they got some guys. Brandon Moss is now away from the team as well, as he's been placed on the paternity list, but he's off to a good start. That ball is lined into center field. Viciedo has a base hit. It comes with 2 outs, his second hit of the night. Fans, we're reminding you to enter the All Access Contest. It's part of the Sportsnet charity broadcast auction. If you make a donation of $50 or more to the Jays Care Foundation before April 24th, you'll be automatically entered. You could win the ultimate Blue Jays experience. There's an opportunity to throw out the ceremonial first pitch before a Blue Jays game, batting practice visit, and a meet and greet with John Gibbons. For more information, visit bluejays.com/broadcast auction. Well, Viciedo knocks Jay Happ out of the game with his second hit of the night. The 39-year-old Ramon Ortiz will come on relief for the first time this season. Ramon Ortiz comes on to pitch his first game with the Blue Jays. He made one start down in AAA with Buffalo, and then they called him up to add some depth to their bullpen.
He has been around a long time. He has pitched for the Angels, Washington, Minnesota, Colorado, the Dodgers, the Cubs. He's been all over the place. Made 11 innings, 7 appearances for the Blue Jays in the spring. Signed to add depth through the organization, and here he is in the big leagues. Fastball slider, basically.
Popped up. Brett Lorry moving into foul territory. Ortiz comes on and closes out the 6th. But the White Sox add an insurance run. They lead the Blue Jays 5-0. And Jack Morris, Pat Tabler, myself, Buck Martinez here in the booth. And Jay Happ got off to a good start, but the wheels kind of fell off when he fell behind in the second.
Yeah, the second inning is really the one that hurt him the most. The multi-run inning and the home run by Tyler Flowers. You know, you throw up a 3 before we ever get on the board. And, you know, too many times this year the Jays are trying to play catch-up baseball.
Hitting-wise, I think the Blue Jays just have not been able to come up with the big hit. They're getting guys on against Quintana, but they just can't punch it through with that big hit.
They have stranded 5 base runners tonight, and this season at home, while batting with runners in scoring position, they are 3 for 43. That's a 0.70 batting average, and that's the Tale of the story right there. That's all you need to know. Aaron Sebia goes after the first pitch. Dunn giving chase in foul territory. Gets there and makes the catch. Jay Happ won his first 2 starts and ran into a problem here tonight. He allowed 6 hits, 5 earned runs, a couple of home runs cost him, and he leaves this ball game after 5 2/3, down 5-0.
Yeah, those 2 swings of the bat that you were referring to, the home runs accounted for 4 of the 5 runs that Jay gave up tonight.
And guys, you know, you never know what the other guy is going to throw at your offense. But right now, Quintana's just been really in command, and you know, 1 run could be the difference in the game. So early in the game, when you throw up that big crooked number, that's why it's so important to try to hold the other team and let your team score first.
You know, we talk about it all the time, how championship clubs have great starting pitching, and it's no mystery. But I think the key to it, like you mentioned, Jack, is run prevention. Giving your hitters a chance to hit without worrying about 3-run homers and 4-run homers and getting back to even with 1 swing of the bat.
Well, that's it. It's, you know, run management, really. It's understanding all situations with guys on base and knowing which guy at the plate, whether it's the guy at the plate or the on-deck hitter, is really the targeted out. All those things come into play.
I know that certainly hurt the Blue Jays on their last road trip when they went to Detroit. All 3 games they found themselves behind by a big number early.
It's hard to keep fighting back from that.
Yeah, it's a mental strain. John Gibbons knows that. He says, you know, I can't do a whole lot offensively when I'm behind by multiple runs.
So Encarnacion's at first. He's been aboard twice with a single and a walk. Brett Laurie has struck out twice. And when you're just starting out, it seems as though every pitch is a strike on the corner.
Can't reach it.
Yeah.
And you're in a hole every at bat.
Every pitch. Yeah, every pitch is a perfect pitch. And then you get the mindset, I've got to swing at everything.
Now it's defensive mode. You got 2 strikes. This is where Quintana can expand the strike zone, see if Brett Laurie going to be aggressive. Umpire, he didn't agree with the first pitch, even though it was a strike.
0-2. Bounced in Encarnacion. Headed for second to throw, not in time. Encarnacion got a good read on the ball in the dirt, moves up on the wild pitch.
You can do that when you're over there at first base. You can watch the flight of the ball, and if it's going to head into the dirt, just take off. Very tough for a catcher to block that ball, find it, and then try to throw all the way down to second base. Good read by Encarnacion to get in scoring position.
1-2 to Laurie. Another base runner in scoring position. Off the end of the bat, Diaza makes the catch, and Encarnacion will have to hold his ground at second.
You know, we were talking about when Brett was put on the active roster that the timing just might not be there. You can see he's out on that front foot just a little bit. A breaking ball by Quintana, just his timing's not there. The fastballs he's hitting over the dugout on the right side, and then the curveball's got him out on the front foot. That'll come with more at bats and more time. It will come. Just too good of an athlete.
Colby Erasmus. Quintana has pitched him tough tonight.
You know, it's a difficult thing too for especially young players to harness the energy that comes with frustration and turn it into a positive. And you know, he struggled here in the first 2 games a little bit. Talking about Brett Laurie. And, you know, he runs up the clubhouse. Trust me, I know those guys. He's trying to just let it all explode so he can refocus again defensively.
Meanwhile, he has gone 0 for 6.
Yeah. And it's frustrating. He doesn't accept that well.
Yeah. Well, and that's the difference, obviously. We've all had long careers, and we all understand now, looking back, that it's such a small picture of your overall season. But as you're a young player, you just don't understand it. You want success every time. 1-2.
You know, and you also want to help your team win a ball game. That's the other thing. To a man, everybody on this ball club, they want to do something to help the team win because they know they've got a good team. And right now, it's just not happening for them.
Team has been shuffled around because of injuries. Laurie is playing in just his second game. They lost their everyday shortstop. And it's been a tough start for the Blue Jays. Rasmus strikes out for a third time tonight. That is 7 strikeouts for Quintana. Blue Jays game this season on Sportsnet, live on your smartphone. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com/sports to get started. Great opportunity to take the Blue Jays with you anywhere you go. Rogers Anyplace TV. A couple of young fans here in attendance at Rogers Center tonight. Hopeful of a Blue Jays comeback. Ramon Ortiz into the ball game in relief of Jay Happ. Ortiz got Viciedo to end the top of the 6th.
Ortiz has always been known as a strike thrower. He'll sink his fastball now. Doesn't throw as hard as he used to when he first came up with the Angels. Got a nice little slider, mix in a changeup. But he knows how to pitch. Been around a long time.
Pitched last year with the Yankees AAA ball club in Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Tyler Flowers, he got the big swing of the bat tonight as he pops that one foul.
Flowers again had struggled, struck out 16 times out of his first 37 at bats, and he's made a little bit of an adjustment. It paid off quickly with that home run. He's got some power.
He's a big man.
They gave up A.J. Pierzynski, decided not to sign him back. He ended up signing with the Texas Rangers to open up a spot for Flowers behind the dish.
He got that slider, hit it right off the end of the bat. Mentioned that Ortiz got Viciedo. Of course, he got Ramirez to end the last inning. Viciedo got the base hit. And there's another hit for Flowers. Looked like a breaking ball that stayed up in the zone, and he singles in to left. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Picking out some Blue Jays hats to wear here at the ball game tonight. Tyler Green. Green is back in the lineup, and he had a good matchup against Jay Happ, so he drew the starting nod at second base. He lined out and popped up against Happ. On the ground, Laurie grabs it and can't get his footing to make a throw. A terrific grab by Laurie. And when he went to stand up and fire across the diamond, he couldn't get his spikes to grab.
He's got the best range of any third baseman, I think, in the American League. This one right down the line. Look at the ground that he covers. Gets to it, and he had a play. But right there, the spikes go out from under him. And he can't finish off the play. Too much speed by Green. That ball was headed down the left field line for extra bases, and he cut it off.
Instead of runners at second and third, there's runners at first and second.
Yeah, that's a double with any other third baseman in the American League.
We talked about Ramon Ortiz and his situation of where he's going to be, what his role is. This is his role right here, and he needs to eat up some of these innings right now. That's why he's been brought up to kind of fill that role as the long man out of the bullpen.
Yeah, certainly stretched out down in Buffalo. He made the one start for the Bisons. He stretched out. He's good for 6 or 7. So if he can hold him right here, he can finish out this ball game, give the bullpen a little bit of a blow.
Yeah, you're down by 5 runs here. You just don't want to have to throw anybody else out of the pen tonight.
Leadoff man, Alejandro Diaz has gone 0 for 3. Piazza is the center fielder. Now Aaron Sebia and Ortiz are going to talk things over. Ramon Ortiz was part of that great Angel Ball Club in 2002. He picked up a win in the World Series in a start.
He won 15 games that year for the Angels.
15-9 in 2002. He won 16 games in 2003, but had a 16-13 record. There's a little looping base hit into right. Rajay Davis plays it on a hop. Flowers is being stopped at third. So 3 straight singles off of Ortiz here in the 7th.
Got to get the ball down. Piazza with that little short swing reaches out and pokes it into right field. Look where it is. Now belt high over the plate. Diaz picks up his first hit of the night.
And now you're getting to the tough part of the order.
Yeah.
Number 2 hitter Jeff Keppinger is 0 for 3 so far, but he's been a tough out for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they have done a good job in this series against Keppinger. Just 1 for 12 coming up to this at bat. We couldn't say that last year. Ooh.
He hit 425 against the Blue Jays a year ago.
And that was no small sample. He had plenty of at-bats against the Blue Jays when he was with Tampa Bay last year.
Bases are loaded. Fly ball into center. Tagging at third is Flowers. They're tagging all over the diamond, and Flowers will come in to score. Tyler Green goes from second to third, and Diaz stays put at first. Flowers scores, sac fly for Keppinger, and it's a 6-run lead for the White Sox.
Good situational hitting there by Keppinger. He knew he wanted to get the ball up in the air and get it into the outfield. Move him over and move him in with one swing. Moves the guy in from third. And moves the guy over from second to third. And now a chance for Rios, where a fly ball can score another run.
Now Rios hit a long fly ball last time up that sailed out of the ballpark. His 5th home run of the season. Blue Jays are double play depth on the infield. Hoping to get a ground ball to get them out of this inning. Rios tried to check the appeal to first, and Manny Gonzalez down at first said no swing. Rios really took off offensively last year, and he's a much different hitter now than he was when he was with the Jays. He was tinkering with his stance. It seemed like every game he had a different stance. It created a lot of problems and inconsistency.
Remember when he was so spread out? He almost filled up the whole batter's box. Now he's got a little bit smaller stance, not as
wide. His feet are almost together now.
Yeah, before they were way out. The hands were down at one point. Look where he is now. Just a foot or so apart from each other. Hands in a much better position to get ready to swing. Well, it must have worked. Only player in club history with multiple seasons of 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Power and speed, that's what you want to get from this game.
Hit 300.
I do a little work with the big hurt, Frank Thomas. I'll have to remind him, geez, Frank, you couldn't have stole a couple bases.
2-2, 1 out. Green at third and Piazza at first, and it'll be a full count. I wouldn't be surprised if the runner at first takes off here with 1 out.
Well, if he doesn't take a peek over there, you can't blame him. He's got to be conscious at all times.
Piazza not running, and Reyes will walk. That'll load the bases again. Second time the bases have been loaded this inning. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Boy, everything the Red Sox doing right now is working. Carp batting 9th, playing first base, has gone 3 for 3 in that game.
They're getting great starting pitching, the Boston Red Sox, and a very deep bullpen. Even though Joel Hanrahan's on
closer.
the DL, they still have another one in Bailey.
Yeah. Well, and that's a pretty impressive line score, and it's even more impressive when you realize they're doing against Justin Masterson.
3-0.
3-0.
Masterson's been roughed up, 5 innings, 11 hits, 4 earned runs. Paul Konerko ten grand slams to his credit and a lofty .322 batting average.
Pretty impressive. Last year, the White Sox as a team hit 6 grand slams.
Into center. Rasmus coming on, makes the catch. Tagging at third is Tyler Green, and he will come in to score, and that's how you drive in 100 runs. You pick up those runners from third, less than 2 outs. Konerko didn't hit it that well, but picks up the RBI.
How about that approach by Paul Konerko after he fell behind by 2 strikes? shorten it up, no stride, just use your hands, and he's strong enough to get the ball deep enough. Look at that, just a half swing by Konerko just to make sure he makes enough contact, drive it out into center field. Heads up base running by Green also to tag up and score.
Adam Dunn, big swing and a miss. It's been a tough night for the defense as
they've been on the field a lot tonight.
Yep.
And you can see that wears away at them. They're not as sharp. They're not on their toes. They're not anticipating as much.
Well, we talked about run prevention, and that's what Quintana did. He started out by throwing up some zeros, and he started the ball game retiring the first 8 batters he faced and gave his offense a chance to get rolling.
Yep.
Adam Dunn's had another rough night on the road. He's 0 for 3 tonight. He is now 1 for 29 on this road trip.
Run into some good pitching. First of all, Washington, and then Cleveland, and then Josh Johnson, Mark Burley with 2 nights here.
Make it 1 for 30 on the road trip. Dunn strikes out for a second time. But a couple of big runs for Insurance. Colby Erasmus makes a fine catch in center, but it's a sac fly for Konerko. DeRosa pops it up. Adam Dunn's got a boatload of pop-ups tonight.
It's probably the most action he's had in the game in a long time.
That's number 5 right there. He was an outfielder. Remember when he first came up with the Cincinnati Reds? Played left field. Austin Kearns was over in right field, so he's got plenty of experience catching those pop-ups.
Blue Jays with just 4 hits off Quintana. Three of the 4 hits have come with 2 outs.
Boy, that's a bad time to start your comeback after you get those first 2 outs. Got to come up with that clutch 2-out base hit. Pitchers are bearing down just a little bit more on you, trying not to give up a hit.
Jesse Crane starts to loosen up. Mark Salas, the bullpen catcher down there, to give him some instructions. There's another pop-up. This is going to be caught by the center fielder. Maestro flies out to center. Quintana in total control of the Blue Jays tonight, the same way he was against Cleveland last time out. He went 7 innings against the Indians, allowed just 1 hit, and shut him out for 7 innings.
Boy, that's so much better than his first start of the season. It took him 77 pitches in that game against Seattle to go 4 innings.
And here with 2 outs in the 7th inning tonight, just giving up right there his 5th hit of the game.
Stay hot. Munenori Kawasaki with his 2nd hit. He's been on base 3 times tonight.
This is the part of the lineup that has been golden for the Blue Jays tonight. Kawasaki's been on base 3 times. This time gets the head out and hits it right back through the middle. Rajay's been on a couple of times. And with that base hit, Robin Ventura is not going to waste any more time.
So Ventura has made the call to the Sox bullpen. It'll be the right-hander Jesse Crane coming out. Ventura, pat on the back for his starter. 24-year-old Quintana gives way to Jesse Crane. And it frustrated Jose Quintana, who allowed just 5 hits, and Kawasaki had 2 of them. What's the reaction?
Who are you?
I can't get you out. But he is in control, looking for the win here tonight. And he'll look for Canadian-born Jesse Crane to take things over. Crane was born right here in Toronto.
Former Minnesota Twin, and Jesse came over to the Sox a few years back. Power pitcher, throws fastballs, a little bit of a breaking ball and a slider.
Yeah, he'll sink it a little bit now as he's getting a little bit older. He's always had that great curveball that he can get over, a slider. Last time out, pitched in his 500th game. That was 5 days ago versus the Indians.
Crane grew up in Colorado. He didn't stay long in Toronto, and actually played baseball at the University of Houston. Breaking ball. Davis rounds the third, and that'll end the inning. Jesse Crain doesn't take long to close out the seventh. Good job by Crain to end the inning. Great start by Quintana. Presented by Baseball Canada and Little League Canada. Calgary, Alberta, July 31st, August 1st and 2nd at Siemens Stadium. Instructors include Roberto Alomar, Jesse Barfield, Cecil Fielder, Otto the Suato Velez, and Dwayne Wood. Visit BlueJays.com/Baseball Academy for more information. Ball is driven high into the air. Rasmus with a long run on the track, just in front of the wall to make the catch. Viciedo, he can't leave town quick enough. He is starting to really swing the bat.
He looks very comfortable at the plate. Did an informal survey on the players for the White Sox this year. Viciedo was the guy that they said is going to have a big year. He's going to come into his own this season, as Ortiz certainly likes that play in center field by Rasmus. Got off to a slow start, but he looks like he's starting to round into form.
Alexei Ramirez has had a good night. He walked and scored and doubled and drove in a run and just got out in front of that ball and pulls it into the seats.
Broke his bat. Might have got it on the end.
He's sick and tired of the ball being thrown on his hands. He's trying to cheat a little bit inside there. Ramon Ortiz gets a bat.
Let's watch it once again in the super slow-mo. Yeah, right off the end of the bat, and it shatters.
Breaks another bat, but it dies a hero. Yeah. A base hit into center. His second hit of the night. Ten hits now for the White Sox, and they've made the most of them. 10 hits and 7 runs. Jay Happ was charged with 5 earned runs over 5 2/3. Ramon Ortiz came into the ball game with 2 outs in the 6th. And this is the guy that got it all started for Chicago. Hit a 3-run home run with 2 outs in the 2nd. And the White Sox have never looked back. inside. Just get a sense that Ramon Ortiz is going to finish this game, no matter
one way
happens.
or another. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, and I'm sure John Gibbons feels the same. Well, maybe not. He got on the phone. Ortiz has thrown 35 pitches. Flowers went after a pitch he didn't want to swing, but went around and fouled it off.
You know, it would make sense to let Ortiz go ahead and finish this, but Brett Cecil hasn't pitched for a while. We might see him. He pitched in the Kansas City series.
He threw the ball very well and has been all year long. 2-2.
Rogers is going to be the one to start throwing.
So Flowers strikes out.
Slider down and away. This is where you want to throw it to this big guy. Homered and singled tonight.
Ishmael Rogers is the Blue Jays reliever starting to loosen up. There's a good slider. Tyler Green chases it off the plate. Ball is bounced toward third. Laurie right on the money. Boy, he hasn't lost a thing defensively. He's made some fine plays in the first 2 games he's been back. The Blue Jays are down by 7. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Blackberry Broadcast Studio. Begin. City serves up Hannibal every Thursday. Jose Bautista is on the bench. We haven't seen him for a while, and he has been getting an awful lot of treatment trying to get his back in good shape so he can get back in the lineup. And you can see George Poulos, the head trainer, going to go back in and work on Bautista some more. 2, 3, and 4 for the Blue Jays. Elkie Cabrera gets ahead of a Jesse Crane pitch. Jordan Danks has taken over defensively in center field. He just was recalled from the minor leagues. They sent back Deontay Heath, who was a reliever, in their bullpen and added Jordan Danks to their roster. Melky has gone 0 for 3. 1 for 9 on the homestand. 3 games against the White Sox.
They've pitched them tough. They've had a definite game plan, and they have stuck to it against Melky this series.
Right in on the hands.
Just enough fastball in a good spot to really tie him up.
Well, you can see that one was off the plate in. That's pretty much bearing down on your hands, and for whatever reason Melky decided to take a whack at it.
1-2. Bouncing ball, big hop for Green at second, and Cabrera is 0 for 4. Now it's time for the drive of the game, brought to you by the 2013 Honda CR-V, an IIHS top safety pick. Honda is the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Tyler Flowers came into this ball game in a 1 for 28 slump, and he put that to bed in the second inning with his first swing of the night. 3-run home run to right center field. It got the White Sox off to a good start, and they haven't looked back.
JP Arencibia takes a fastball strike. Flowers got a lot of power. 3 home runs now. They never really had an opportunity to see much of him because A.J. Pierzynski plays practically every day.
Yeah, you could book it for A.J. Pierzynski catching 150 ball games year after year after year. Going to be a little bit tougher this year down in Texas with the heat. But yeah, the backup catcher for Chicago, you never know who he is because he never plays.
And Flowers getting a chance. He was a big prospect with the Atlanta Braves and came to Chicago for a couple of real good pitchers, Boone Logan and Javier Vasquez. It was back in December of 2008. 1-2. Arencibia lays off the breaking ball. Mentioned Jesse Crane. He was actually an infielder in junior college. Went to the University of Houston, where he played infield and pitched, and was signed as a pitcher.
He's had a really nice career. He's been around. You mentioned it, Jack, that he was with Minnesota.
A lot of years with the Twins, and they tried to make him a closer for a while. In those years, those were the years where Joe Nathan was the closer. Jesse was the setup man.
Slider. Arencibia was headed to first, and he has a couple of words for Jeff Nelson. Looked like a pitch might have been outside. Crane gets the call. Arencibia's out. That's the second out of the bottom of the 8th.
Breaking ball going away from the right-hander. JB thought that one was up and maybe out, but Crane gets it for the second out. That's what a veteran will do. He'll throw those breaking balls 3-2.
Edwin Encarnacion, another good night. He's been on base twice, grounded out in the second, singled in the 4th, and walked in the 6th.
Teams will challenge Edwin a little bit more when there's nobody on base. I don't know if you've seen that. They'll give him something to hit. Boy, once there's guys on base, they really become very careful with them and pitch around them.
And if you don't challenge people with a 7-0 lead, I don't know when you're gonna.
Well, I think too, you can maybe find out a little bit about him.
Yep.
Pitch to his strength a little bit. See how he can handle it. Maybe you'll get in his head and he'll think, oh, well, they don't know how to pitch me. Well, it's 7-0. Who cares if he hits one out? I used to use games like this to try to figure out what hitters were doing.
Yeah.
You got a little leeway, and you can put this information together for when these teams meet up again down the road. Two and two, 2 outs.
Well, it's certainly more fun to be on the winning end of these kind of games than the losing end. We've all been on both.
I really think that Jesse Crane, he didn't want to show Encarnacion where he's going to get him out in key situations.
Yeah.
Why give him that information?
In a one-run game when it's closer late in the game, he's not going to throw him his A pitch.
Edwin is on fire. That was a heck of a pitch, and he went down and golfed it into left field. His second hit of the night.
Sounded like he broke his bat on that one also, but he's got great plate coverage. Looked like a slider.
Off the end.
Exactly where you want to throw it. Down and away. That's curveball. And he goes down and he gets it. How about this concentration? A short swing. You don't see him out on that front foot. He's got enough of his hand staying back, and the back comes through. He's locked in right now.
Brett Laurie. He's been behind all night long, and we talk about that's the kind of feeling you have when you just get back to the big leagues. It seems like everybody's throwing 105 and painting the corners. Is there a way for Laurie to approach Crane and try and get something going?
I think if he's in a little bit of a slump right now, tell yourself the first couple of pitches, I'm going to look for one pitch. A lot of times young guys, when they go up there and they're in a little bit of a slump, they're looking for everything, and it confuses them just a little bit more.
You've got to look fastball. That's all there is to it. Jesse Crane's a fastball pitcher. He does have a good breaking ball, but with 7 runs to work with, he's got a challenge. He's got 2 outs. Of course, there he's going to throw the breaking ball just to prove me wrong.
Well, he's got an ERA he's got to worry about, doesn't he?
I think he should just concentrate on throwing strikes, and he's got confidence in his breaking balls right now. 2-2 pitch to Laurie. Another breaking ball, and Laurie strikes out. But Laurie strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. He's 0 for 4. The Blue Jays get a single, but strand another base runner. It'll start Friday night, 7:07 start, and then a couple of day games. Saturday, April 20th, 107 start, and then Sunday another day game. For Yankee Blue Jays tickets, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. ColoradoBlueJays.com and order your Blue Jays Yankee tickets, or you can always stop by most Rogers Plus locations to pick up your Yankee tickets. Top of the 9th inning. Jordan Danks came in the ballgame as a defensive replacement for Alejandro De Aza. He was just recalled from the minor leagues.
There is
Charlotte, there are his numbers.
in AAA Charlotte. It's a good move by Robert Ventura.
getting him in the game early, and what does he do? Gets a base hit.
Yeah, you get him up here, you get him in the game and make sure he gets an at-bat. Feel like you're part of the team, and he rips a base hit.
Yeah, don't want him sitting around a long time to lose the edge he developed in AAA. So they had a good opportunity, 7-0 lead, and he gets his first hit of the season. Jeff Keppinger had a sac fly back in the 7th inning. High breaking ball for a strike. Born Ortiz has gone 2 1/3 so far in this game. Down ball, should be 2. Estures, Kawasaki, Encarnacion. Double play. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Connecticut. Here's Ken Reed and Ivanka Osmak. Top of the 9th. Alex Rios is the scheduled batter. Dwayne Wise will get his first at bat of the series. He's been in both ball games prior to tonight as a pinch runner. He swings at the first pitch. Laurie in foul territory. Ortiz handles the White Sox quickly in the 9th. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. White Sox with a 7-0 lead. Blue Jays, and Brett Laurie understands that. He wants his team to turn things around, and he's played just 2 games now since coming off the disabled list, and Blue Jays are having a start they didn't expect back in spring training. Donnie Veal will be the second reliever to work. Jesse Crane goes an inning and a third. Now the left-hander comes in here in the 9th.
7 games, still looking for the first run to score against them. Righties do not have a hit. Lefty's hitting .333. That's scored a streak 7 games to start. He's worked less than an inning 5 times this season, and an inning twice. Throws hard. He's got a good curveball. Colby Rasmus faced him the other day, first night in here, and he'll get first crack at him here in the 9th inning.
Well, Veal started out last season the same as he has gotten off to the start this season. And he retired the first 24 batters he faced last year. He was a big-time arm out of their pen early on. Rasmus to Rosa is Sturris, and Rasmus goes after the first pitch.
I think that's what the Chicago White Sox look for when they're looking for relievers. Do you have a big arm? Can you rush it up there at 95 plus? They got a lot of guys out of that bullpen who throw hard.
I think that's important to have hard throwers in your pen. Hitters are batting for their 4th time. They might be slowed down a little bit. If you got somebody that can get outs without making contact, I think you got to shut down bullpen.
The key being able to throw strikes out of the pen. It's one thing to have power arms, but you got to throw the ball, especially when you're a reliever in close games. You got to throw strikes.
You know what else you can do when you've got those type of arms with a good breaking ball? The manager can then set it up to his advantage. He can bring in a lefty to face a left-handed hitter. A couple of lefties in this inning, possibly for the Blue Jays.
Rasmus has struck out 3 times. He is battling Donnie Veal tough. Last night, Colby was lifted in favor of the pinch hitter, with the left-hander Hector Santiago entering the game in the 7th.
Doubled off a field the first night in on a hanging breaking ball.
That breaking ball in the dirt, and he strikes out for a 4th time. There are races tomorrow as we're right back here for the finale of this 4-game series. R.A. Dickey will go up against Chris Sale, and he needs to be the stopper. He needs to be the guy that gets it turned around, and the big question is whether or not Jose Bautista will be healthy enough to get back into the lineup. His presence has been missed, obviously, with the bat and with the glove. Mark DeRosa getting his first start in the DH spot this season. Blue Jays have now struck out 10 times tonight. The starter Quintana got 7 over 6 2/3. Jesse Crain struck out a pair in an inning and a third. And Veal strikes out the first batter he faced here in the 9th.
Well, that's a pretty good curveball right there. You can start it on the outside part of the plate and try and bring it back. You see why they've had trouble hitting this guy, especially right-handers. Can't give up on that curveball.
And he's got enough velocity to keep you honest.
Well, he's definitely a power arm, more of a slider than the curveball. He kind of flips it more like a slider.
DeRosa drives it into center. Jordan Banks comes on and makes the catch. Blue Jays are down to their final out.
When he was younger, Veal had a little bit of a higher leg kick, a la Dontrell Willis, and I think that really messed up his mechanics. Now it's a simpler windup.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Bobby Thigpen or Don Cooper has been working with these guys, but they're keeping their deliveries very simple. Pick it up, set it down.
Well, Donnie Cooper's a master at that. He's the pitching coach for the Chicago White Sox.
Bouncing ball to third. This should do it. Kempinger ends the ball game. Donnie Veal retires the Blue Jays in order in the 9th. And the starter, Jose Quintana, does a great job. His catcher, Tyler Flowers, hits a 3-run home run. And the Blue Jays lose 7-0. Another good night for Viciedo and Ramirez. Stay tuned for Connected. Coming right up. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.